what we got going on. Today is April the 10th. This is things that people don't want to talk about, brought to you by God Level. That will be me. My name is Renee. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, down here in Houston, Texas. I am a nurse, entrepreneur, mother, aunt, friend, oh my God, cousin. I am everything good. John, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
John Nicholson here, aka John Skywalker, the Sly Talker, lyricist, spoken word artist, martial artist, personal trainer, lover of life, student of psychology, and father. That track that y'all were just listening to when we came up into this and we flew in and we landed, you were greeted by the sounds of John Skywalker. Me, John Skywalker. Look him up on your streaming platform of choice. Tidal, Amazon, Apple. Look up John Skywalker. I have 3 albums. These are hip hop albums. Even though there's a little bit of spoken word on there, this is hip hop, real hip hop. Go peep that, go check that, go consume that.
I love
Also,
it.
guys, if you are looking for a means to lose some weight, get your gut health in check, a cleanse, holla at me at master.johnskywalker on on Instagram. It's on Instagram at master.johnskywalker. I will plug you in to what's called the 30-day ULT challenge, Ultimate Lifestyle Challenge. It's 30 days. You get these superfoods in your regimen. You change your diet, we revamp your lifestyle, we revamp your health, get you on the path to a healthier lifestyle. Again, at master.johnskywalker. Salute.
Salute. King Newborn.
Peace, peace, peace. Once again, it's that time again, like we do every Sunday at 7 p.m. It's King Newborn. You find me on all social media platforms at Newborn Everything. And like I always say, I am.
I am. Oh, we got a couple people already. What's going on, Mr. King? Reggie, is that Mr. King from last week?
No.
Okay.
That's our brother Reggie King.
Oh, okay. Good evening, Brother King. And hello, Mom. How you doing?
Peace,
Before yeah, peace, Mom. Before we get started, my brothers and I are going to do something new. I put out a message on my Facebook and I shared it with them. We are looking for people who want to plug their business, use our platform to plug their business. Please keep in mind that we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube. I'm streaming live on Twitter right now. At the end of the show, the audio version will be downloaded and uploaded to Spreaker and also Apple Podcasts, which right now, as we stand, we have 5 stars on our 2 episodes that was uploaded. So before we move forward into our show, we're going to start plugging our people. And the first one that we have online, her name is Juju Smith. She is from St. Louis, Missouri. With that being said, good evening, Miss Juju.
Name is Joanna.
Joanna, go ahead.
I am the CEO of HazelJBeauty.com. Ladies, I have strips for you. If you don't want to have, the everlasting effect of having individual strips, you can also have individual lashes. They're not, the individual lashes are not as healthy as the strips are. The individual lashes will cause you more infection, and the strips are more healthier for you. Like, I am in healthcare field, and I know what I'm talking about. You can visit me at HazelJBeauty.com, and I will have more on there for you. Thank you all for having me on your show.
Absolutely.
And your platform.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for always being so supportive. Miss Joanna Smith has been coming on to our shows weekly. Every time we post, she's here. She is definitely here, dropping a comment, letting us know that she supports our content. So, of course, we had to have you on here to show our support to your business as well. I bought some lashes. I have not had a chance to get them. When I get to St. Louis, we will take, you know what, That is great. When I get to St. Louis, we will definitely sit down and have lunch or something. Definitely, and get these lashes. But other than that, I want to thank you for popping up your business. Thank you for your support, and we appreciate your support. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share to all of our social media platforms. All right, and don't forget to put your information in the chat. Please put it in the chat so people know where to find you.
Yeah, put it in a comment right now.
Up in the comment, yeah, put it in the comment section right now so people know where to find you. You still there? Hello?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Thank you, Ms. Smith, for calling in. We really appreciate it. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Tonight's topic is a heavy one. We've been online since 6 o'clock backstage, talking about some things, going over some things on how we're going to present this, and it's a lot. This one is pretty heavy. This is domestic violence, men beating women. Oof. And we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. Domestic violence, also called intimate partner violence, which occurs between people in an intimate relationship. Domestic violence can take many forms, including emotional, sexual, physical, and threats of abuse. Domestic violence can happen in heterosexuals or same-sex relationships. When it comes to physical abuse, we're just going to go through all of it. Physical abuse is pushing, kicking, strangling, or any other physical violence. Sexual abuse, forceful sex, sexual assault, sexual threats, and many others. Emotional abuse is threats, manipulation, lies, stalking, name calling, and more. Economic abuse is denying access to bank accounts and other financial platforms. That one
doesn't get talked about enough either.
The economic abuse,
patriarchy.
When someone is making most of the money.
That one has been going on for a very long time, and it's like right in front of us, but it's weird because we don't speak about it. Because you got to really think about it. We only have been measuring intimate partner violence for probably the most of 40 to 50 years. Okay. And that's me just speaking generously. Ooh. So you have to wonder why, what happened before we even started measuring this, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of grandmothers, and we see this also online, we have these, semi discussions as to why marriages don't last long. And all of us, we pretty much kind of know already. We know that one of the major influences was feminism, and that women have more access to resources. So you have to wonder, well, did grandma want to stay in? Did our great grandmother want to stay with abusive granddad, abusive great granddad because she loved him, or because she didn't really have much of a choice? If you think about her economic prospects, right? Patriarchal society, women didn't have a high likelihood of getting employed. And so you were raised to be a housewife, and you're stuck in this financial situation with a man who's abusive, but also financially abusive. Yeah.
Okay. And nowadays, women are becoming more independent, entrepreneurs, CEOs, and deciding whether or not they want to be in a relationship. Oh my God, that is good. Now let me jump into some of the things these are something that you might see in a domestic violence relationship. Calls you names, insults, puts you down, prevents or discourages you from going to work or school or seeing family members and friends. They isolate you. Trying to control how you spend your money, where you go, what medicines you take, or what you wear. Acts jealous or possessive, or constantly accusing you of being unfaithful. Gets angry when drinking alcohol or using drugs. Tries to control whether you can see a healthcare provider, threatens you with violence or a weapon, hit, kicks, shoves, slaps, chokes, otherwise hurts you, your children, forces you to have sex or engage in sexual activity against your will, blames you for his or her violent behavior and tell you that you deserve it, threaten to tell friends, family, colleagues, and community members of your sexual orientation and gender. Now, domestic violence. Hey, Costello, domestic violence is not just in heterosexual relationships. It says that if you are lesbian, bisexual, and transgender person, you also may experience domestic violence if you're in a relationship with someone who tells you that authorities won't help you because you're a lesbian. Oh, I know my brother just went. He'll be back. Bisexual or transgender, tells you that leaving the relationship means you're admitting that lesbian, bisexual, and transgender relationships are not so good. Is it deviant? Deviant? I'm going to have to look that up. Deviant. Is he back? No. Says women can be violent. Women can be violent. I need to put that out there. Women can be violent. Women can be very aggressive. Women can be very manipulating as well. So I'm just going to put that out there because that's a myth that women can't be violent, and we can. I'm so tired of hearing about the LGBTQ. I'm not even sure what all the letters mean, Miss Costello.
Lesbian, bisexual, gay,
gay,
trans, and queer. And then the I is intersex, and the A is asexual.
Where is King? Costello said, where is King? Is he froze? I think he's froze. Yeah, he is froze. She's up with some, where is King? Okay, there he is again. Let me get him back on here. King Newborn, you good? We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Then he popped up. Oh my God. Okay. Let me go ahead and finish this out. I guess he's got some technical difficulties. What's wrong with his phone? So he can't even hear you, sister. But anyway, don't take the blame. You may not be ready to seek help because you believe you're at least partially to blame for the abuse in the relationship. You're not.
Right.
If you are experiencing abuse in a relationship, it is not your fault. Okay, your partner blames you for the violence in their relationship. Your partner only exhibit abusive behaviors with you. Therapists and doctors who see you alone or with your partner haven't detected a problem because that's how good these people are. You have acted out verbally or physically against your abuser. Now, this is something that I read with children who are watching abuse. Even if your child isn't abused, simply witnessing domestic violence can be harmful. Children who grow up in abusive homes are more likely to be abused and have behavior problems than other children. As adults, hear me, they're more likely to become abusers or think abuse is a normal part of a relationship. That's a problem. That is a problem. That right there says that that child has not witnessed what a healthy relationship is and the things that that child have seen in a relationship. When that child gets older, becomes an adult, think that it is okay for those things to go on in that relationship. Now, I applaud anyone who grew up because I've seen both sides. I've seen the young boy grow up and see his mother be beat and grow up to become an abuser himself. And I've also seen a young boy grow up, see his mother be beaten, and grow up and not be that abusive person towards women. And I'm trying to figure out what made them decide, okay, no, we cannot. What made them decide to go? Oh, Dion, I am so sorry. Dion is having technical difficulties. If you need to go back out and come back in, please do so. And Danielle Williams Roberts says that takes a lot of willpower. It does takes a lot of willpower to grow up, see abuse in the home, and become the total opposite. You would have to have made that decision. Yeah, go ahead. You would have to have made that decision early on. Wow. I'm going to share, and I'm not going to get too deep into this. But I grew up watching my mother be abused emotionally, mentally, physically. He couldn't abuse her economically because she was always the breadwinner. But the other three, yeah. For a minute, she did get away from him. And then he did end up coming back. And when he walked back through that door, I just watched and experienced it. Yes. Ms. Williams, if you want to call in, the number is posted, honey, if you have something that you want to share with us. 832-318-6966. Greatly appreciated. So, yeah, and growing up and watching that, I kind of told myself I didn't want that to be me, so I became the aggressor. I became the one that was more aggressive in the relationship because I felt like, man, if I show a little bit of softness, that's going to be her, that's going to be me. You know, it is some things I can say, but I'm going to keep that to myself. It was a lot. And I think there he is. Let's try it again. Mr. King, you want? Yes, we can hear you now. Yeah. All right. We were just, I gave the definition of domestic violence is broken down into 4 different categories: emotional, physical, sexual, and economic. We talked about signs to look for when you're dealing with an abuser. We also went with the fact that when children are seeing this type of abuse growing up in home, how they can either become the abuser or go the other way. And Ms. Danielle Williams Roberts says it takes a lot of willpower for them to go the other direction. And it really does. It really does. And I, you know, when we was backstage, I was telling y'all, you know, I grew up in the Cosby era. You know, that was the closest healthy relationship that I've ever seen. I've never seen what a healthy relationship looks like. So if you've never seen it, how do you mimic it? If all you've ever seen was abuse, if all you've ever known was trauma and been surrounded by drama, how do you move toward something that's peace? The drama that you grew up around became so normal that anything other than that was a problem. It was always something going on in my household. Period. I didn't care. I don't care what it is. And my mother and my sister was, it's a lot. So when you grow up in a drama-filled home and also been traumatized, how do you expect to have a healthy relationship? The Cosby Show is very rare. Mom a lawyer, dad a doctor. Don't know too many of my peers in that situation. Talk to me, Mr. King. That's red. That's brother King. Talk to me. Yeah.
There are a few there are a few buffering or protective factors, right? Because it's not just, these aren't just isolated variables we're talking about here. So when we ask that question of, you know, what is a child supposed to look forward to when their environment shows them abuse, right? So mom has got a man who's abusive, or shoot, even dad has a woman, he's dating a woman, right, who's abusive, right? If you're a child that's not only seeing that, but you could have been sexually assaulted, sexually abused on top of that, having some cyberbullying. We're not looking at every variable, though. We're not looking at
Yeah.
other protective factors like, all right, are they seeking mental health? Do they have any positive role models? It doesn't have to be just male, right? And you did say Cosby Show, right?
Right.
Right. So
You said seek mental health. How do you seek help for something that you don't even
school
realize?
counselor,
Issue.
school
Yeah, you don't even
counselor,
know your issue. Yeah,
school counselor,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
School
yeah.
counselor. But now, if we're talking about minorities, yeah, we're less inclined to go seek mental health, especially when we're talking
Yes.
about the younger demographic.
Yeah.
But typically, right, school counselors. But of course, they can't administer any treatment. They're limited in their scope of practice. But
Right.
even still, you might have that small minority that if they don't seek mental health, they seek some sort of counseling through community programming, some sort that gives children an outlet to express themselves, and so their healing over time, it may not be as incrementally as they would if there was zero abuse and then there was an intervention plan. But yeah, there are protective factors out there, like some children, like myself, just have a genetic disposition towards optimism, right? And so
Mm,
just always, not all children don't have that, though. All children don't
right.
have that, okay?
Right.
But there are personal factors that can serve as protective factors. And then, of course, in terms of environment, you mentioned the Cosby Show, right? So even
Right.
though you might see this in your home, you might fantasize, you might read books, or uh, you might read literature, or you might come across other media that has the ideal family archetype, and you aspire for that. You envy it even, and you say, I'm going to have that one day, right? But all kids don't fall into that pool. So it's like
True.
it's a mismatch. You might have these cards, and then you might have these cards. It's just they're like, we can make some predictions based off of these factors, but to say that everyone has access to these factors is very naive. It would be very naive of us.
Right. Did you want to say something, King Newborn?
Oh no.
Okay.
John hitting on it right now, so I don't
Yeah,
have nothing to
you
add.
pretty,
It's
pretty much.
yeah.
Pretty much. Looking back on the way that I grew up and the women that I was surrounded by, I did take away some things. I know how to work. I will say that. And when it comes to relationships, I think I'm more so like my grandmother.
Mm,
I'm more, she used to tell us a story about, well, grandpa used to tell us a story about grandma, and I'm not going to get into that, but I'm just looking back and I'm like, okay, I picked up more on her side when it comes to me, and yet I can also love as hard as my mother did when it came to her husband. So I got a little bit of both.
yeah,
A
got
little
both
bit of both.
worlds. That's
I got
good.
a little bit of both world. Yeah. I can be very loving, but also I can be very aggressive.
Mhm.
So yeah, I have not learned to balance that out, especially when it comes to men, because I up until recently, I used to always look at men, and we just talked about this, in an authority figure as an enemy.
Mm,
That trust issue was not there. So, and I know where I'm going. I can't continue to go on the way that I'm going, and I have to start somewhere. And then we talked about this backstage, and I let you both know that you too are the only man that I trust right now, and I got to start somewhere. Someone else walk up to me that uh, who are you? Where are you coming from? It's like, and that's crazy. Even though I want that relationship, one step at a time for me.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
But go ahead. If anybody want to add anything to growing up watching abuse, if anybody has a story they want to share with us, if you grew up in a household with abuse, how did it affect you? How does it affect you? Did you seek help? Are you seeking help? Do you need? Do we have numbers to where we can post at the end of the show where they can
Yeah.
call? Yeah.
Yeah. There's two. Well, so I'll list the 1-800 number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline,
Hmm.
and then there is also the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, their website, and then also if you are, or if you suspect, if you highly suspect that you are involved in a intimate partner violence situation, and it's been chronic, you can always text "Love is" to 22522. So we got those three resources that we'll post towards the end.
Oh, absolutely. We need that. We need to have all of that information um, available. Get
Hmm.
help, please. Miss Williams, do you want to call in because you're doing a lot of chatting? You know, when I see people doing a lot of chatting, I just really encourage you to call in. You said you was going to call in. Actually, you're supposed to be on the
Yeah.
show. I don't know where you at.
I
But what?
will say this. In lieu, I mean, since we are kind of, we're sharing stories and such.
Okay.
Witnessed it when I was a kid. You know, mom had commented and such, and it's like it's a scar in the family that we know is there, but we don't feel the need collectively to highlight that all the time. It's one of those, all right, it happened in our much earlier years. We kind of came to peace with it. It did cause a lot of fractures in the family in more emotional and psychological ways. But one thing I could say, and this is where I was talking about the protective factors. I know that our spiritual belief system, our religious belief system at the time, really helped with that. Mom really shaped the perspective of all this.
Right.
So how you present the situation when you're in it to your kids makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. It's not to say that it's normal. It's to say this thing happened, but it doesn't
Mhm.
define who we are, right?
Yes.
And my mom exhibited a lot of forgiveness, a lot of grace, a lot of acceptance, a lot of. I'm telling you, if mom would call in and speak on her experience, she will tell you, some of the details, but also give you some insight on her approach. She had more of a loving, lighthearted approach, and a
Hmm.
lot of, that's not the expectation. That's not the standard, but it's extraordinary. It's not to say
Hmm.
that she's not strong, because it's like, dang, a lot of women would emotionally be on the defense and take this negative view of men and generalize it, right? You have those. Some
Hmm.
people are
Real.
so hurt that
Yeah.
they demonize the entire class of men, right?
Right.
But she looked at it as, all right, this was just you, and it didn't happen just once. It's a couple of guys, so this is like an
Mhm.
epidemic, right?
Okay.
And it's how she dealt with it. It was, all right, this thing happened, but she never really allowed it to indicate that she was broken by it. And so
Mm.
looking at how she soldiered on and soldiered through it and still spoke lovingly, it's like, okay, you know what, it's still morally reprehensible, but
Mm.
we yield the compassion and the forgiveness, and this is how we handle it. And then later on, the men coming forth saying, dang, yeah, what I did was fucked up, yada yada yada. And them still beckoning for forgiveness and trying to repair the relationship and trying to make peace with the past. And there are examples out there like that, but we don't celebrate those that much because there is a stigma around it. If you even get caught in association with this, you're branded, there's no way up from there, right? You
Facts.
shouldn't have did it in the first place. So
That part.
there is no retribution. There is no coming from grace. It's we do that with a lot of things, though. But we do need to see more examples out there because I mean, you can't. I mean, Now, I will say with the statistics, you're very hard pressed to find some reliable statistics,
Yeah,
especially because of the time frame. Like the latest you'll probably get is something
yeah,
around 2018,
yeah.
maybe
I was
if you're
looking.
lucky,
I was
17,
right?
looking.
17, 18. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then
and there's
the
always
unreported cases.
there
People are
we go,
suffering
and
in silence.
yes, and so therefore a lot of the numbers could be misconstrued. They could be skewed,
Yeah.
right, misunderstood. But when you
Whose
look at
report
these
ain't right?
statistics, yeah, oh my gosh. So when you look at when you look at the picture here, it's not, first off, it's a pixel, it's like a 16-bit, no, it's like an 8-bit pixelated picture. It's not clear, but you know what it is already. We know
Mm-hmm.
what it is, and we know that it's an epidemic, right? And so
Right.
you don't see enough in the culture of men being tried, challenged, held accountable, and coming forward and saying, like, and being in the public eye and saying, this ain't the move. This is what I was thinking, given the profile of what an abuser is, and then saying, this was what I was under. This is why it happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, the moral part, the moralizing is very easy. We know what's right, we know what's wrong. In the story, you don't need any reason for that. You can just say something's right or what's wrong just off of a feeling. But there's not much understanding, right, as to how this could happen. It's not just an isolated thing. Now, we did say earlier that a victim, a woman, nobody is like a cause for
No.
domestic abuse or domestic violence, right? Nobody is a cause. You
No.
can't cause that into
No.
somebody. It's
Mm-mm.
still your responsibility as a man, as a woman. It's still your responsibility. You got to exercise some self-control. But there
Mm-hmm.
are profiles here. We need to know. We need to kind of understand them. Some people say, I don't need to understand that. But if you don't have that, you don't have the representation that men need to, okay, you know what? I see myself, this is what it looks like, and here I am rationalizing my behavior, right? A lot
Mm-hmm.
of these men are sick, man. Yo, a lot of people are sick. Okay.
Yeah.
So something as simple as having a rigid cognitive bias, right? So abusers tend to have distorted thoughts, and especially about gender roles. Like they have that patriarchal view of what gender is, right? So
Okay.
they like to think that if we're talking about men, they think men are superior and women are inferior, and so you could just treat them any way you want to treat them, right? And it justifies the way that they treat them, right?
Yeah.
And it makes them intolerant of any other idea to enter their consciousness and possibly create an egalitarian relationship, right? So they typically are intolerant, low tolerance. They're tyrannical as a result. They're egotistical. They're stubborn. um, they'll say they believe in democracy when really they believe in just controlling everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So something like that, if you have a cognitive bias to where you can't, like, you're not flexible in your thinking as a man,
Mm-hmm.
you'll never see anything beyond your ego. And
Oh
so
wow.
that leads to a whole medley of other things, like you lack empathy, and you lack
Mm.
you lack high self-esteem, or you have low self-esteem.
Wow.
You lack good problem solving ability. In a relationship, it's always about problems, right?
Right.
And you're an
Mm.
abuser who can't really, you don't have flexible thinking, so you can't problem solve. On top of that, you're emotionally immature. You lack empathy, because you could obviously see that you hurt your woman, and if you have empathy, you're gonna feel your woman, and it typically leads to compassion. So you're like, you know what, I'm about to sound like Mojo Brooks when I say this. You know what? That was too aggressive. I ain't even like that. Because I know y'all saw the skits. I know y'all saw Mojo Brooks. He does skits
I'm gonna have
on
to look it up. Go ahead.
Mojo Brooks, man. But he that whole thing of being aggressive, right? Or the lack of impulse control. That's a big one. That is a big one. And especially for black boys in this society, in the hood, man,
Mhm.
ADHD, we're over diagnosed,
Right.
Because
overrepresented
if we
for
overdiagnosed,
ADHD. So,
yeah.
right. So These are the same boys that can't regulate their emotions, let alone they can't control themselves. And then they're in a society where it's like, well, they're just being boys. That's just how boys are. But everyone knows, or everyone who knows success, you got to have impulse control. You got to be able to delay your gratification. If you're a boy coming up and never learning that skill, the nigga wait, or oh shit, I'm angry, I'm about to rage out, or I just want to like you haven't learned any self-restraint as a child, as an adolescent. Now you're an adult, you never learned it, and yet society also expects you to just have it too. Yet who is there to install that in you? Because we don't just pick it up.
Right.
You got to be socialized for that, right?
Right.
That all that I just listed was just like the profile of an abuser.
Wow.
And we need to see those men speaking on their experience. Not like we're not trying to have compassion for them. That's not what it's about. It's about the information.
Okay.
Right? So okay, we see what it looks like, and it's all right, glad you came forward. Now we have models. It's not a mystery anymore. Because that's the thing about an abuser. It's a mystery. We just, all right, these niggas is fucked up and they need to be put in jail. They just need to die. They just need to die because they're hurting other people, right?
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing because it's not funny, but I'm just like, when John gets going and he is passionate, them customers come out, baby. It's fucked up. Need to talk.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? Because this all you right now, baby. This is all you right now. Oh my God. And next week we're going to talk on women. Women can be abusers too.
Yeah.
Women can be abusers too. We're going to talk about it. Women predators. We did. Women predators. We did talk about it. Women predators. But women beat men too.
Yes.
Now.
Although proportionate, yeah.
I was never say, yeah.
I want to applaud you, John. For being the type of man that you are right now, growing up in that type of environment and not becoming a product of your environment. Seeing that happen to a woman and not being the type of man to do that to a woman. I grew up, we talked about this, watching my mother, me and my brothers did, not Dion, but the other one. And I was heartbroken to see that he kind of turned into his stepfather, his father. I was heartbroken, I'm heartbroken to see a young man grow up, see his mother being abused and become one of those. Thank you for that friendly reminder, King Newborn. I appreciate it. To see that he has become the product of his environment, growing up, becoming that abuser, and I hate that these people never seen what a healthy relationship looks like. I hate that they didn't have a strong male figure in their life to teach them, what's right. We can't depend on TV to teach us how to be human beings. We need to see it, right there in front of us. Yeah, we need examples, because our young men are struggling out here.
Yeah.
Repeated exposure.
We need repeated
exposure
of what a healthy relationship looks like on both sides for women and men. Because the women nowadays, this hot girl summer is getting on. I heard it one more time.
Yeah, you said next week.
Yeah,
next week.
Yeah, we gonna expose these women out here. This is ridiculous. No, I
Uh,
had a gentleman. Go ahead, because I had a gentleman ask me. He said, "You
Go
go
ahead.
in
No.
on men a lot." I said, "Excuse me, I put women out there too. I put
Um.
women out there too. We are not perfect." I came across a video where this lady was like, 75% of all these shootings that's going on in the hood is because of a woman who felt disrespected by a man. And it's a phone call. We do that.
We just had an incident similar to that in St. Louis like a week ago, and it was two related incidents from that one incident. So being that I myself and John, we are both are men in a society where it's just hard to be in. So we get hit with a lot of stigmas. This being that being I guess you want to say the leader, but yet you ruling with an iron fist in a relationship. Um, I myself have never done it. I've seen examples of it, and then the two cases that I've seen examples of it, I was not one of mental capacity to comprehend what was really going on, but I understood the physical aspect of it. Secondly, I was too small. I'm not gonna say small. I wasn't physically fit to take on no grown man. You know,
Mm,
they like to actually step in. Like John was saying, sometimes you got, oh, wait a minute, I got to assess
the
what's really taking
situation.
place here. Because at the end of the day, I myself don't want no man stepping crazy to me, let alone me stepping to a man. And at that time, I was kind of like a boy, teenager ish type thing.
Mm.
So that ain't gonna fly for real. More importantly, growing in poverty stricken areas, a lot of young men have no examples. No examples, no way to control his emotions. Being that, like we said in other podcasts, being that the father had to leave in order for mom to receive assistance, including housing. So you got a lot of things that lead up to that, killing off those examples, having a male role model there. And these are generational, hate to say it, curses that's been passed down. You know,
Mm,
it is not something that just started happening. Like John was saying, due to economics in the home front, the breadwinner. What I say, go. You know, shut up. You know, bring my meal. Lay
Mm.
down.
yeah.
You know, I mean it's jacked up, but you have to understand the stigma that rolls down from that. You transferring that DNA to the next seed, whether it be male or
Mm,
female. As
mm.
something within that will be activated within the DNA. A lot of us don't want to take time out looking from a scientific standpoint, though. But yeah,
Speak,
it is very true. Um,
preach.
but there's also a part of us that, along with that stigma, is a part of you that does that balancing, where you be like, you know what, I don't want to be like that. They don't look happy.
Right.
They don't look peaceful. They don't resonate in my spirit. So it's like, what do I do to bring about effective change? You know, and sometimes you try to become the example, and not knowing at the time when you make the decision, me becoming an example actually puts you in the I'm gonna say it puts you in the shit a lot worse than the actual abuser. Because you're taking on the weight of the world, then you're also taking on the weight of your own moral compass.
Ooh.
Deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So it get real in the field. It get real in the field. Um, and the crazy part about it, as a black man, I know within my family, the men, especially on my dad's side, them some upstanding guys. But then also on my mother's side, some upstanding men as well. I mean, like some right now finna smite you. When they actually see a woman being dishonored by a man. Um, touchy subject. I bring it up because my cousin was actually killed behind this situation not too many years ago, and I understand the situation when you're standing there, you're a full adult, your frontal lobe is developed, your moral compass is already set, you have a boundary, you have an understanding. And when you see something take place, like literally in front of you, you see the whole breakdown, you're like, you should not be trying to do this woman like that. You fight with yourself because you know for a fact this ain't supposed to happen. Regardless of what she say, what she has done, you a man, first and foremost. Just off of physics alone, there's no real way she's supposed to be able to, have one up on you. So therefore, you should be the one to walk away. Now you do have situations where women will be the aggressor, but in this particular case, sometimes you seen enough and you're like, he ain't letting up. Which John, you probably agree. You'll be like, oh, that's the bitch in him. And no disrespect, but I'm just saying, because you don't need to be going about things in that manner to put your hands on a woman like that. Like it ain't nothing that's serious. Nothing that's unless you're trying to take your life. I understand you defending yourself. That's one thing, but you acting out of pure emotion because you butt hurt about something, man, take that shit on the chin and walk away. Excuse my language. That's all I want to spill. I don't want to take it all up. That's my little spill for
Oh
right
no,
now.
it's okay. It's okay because just you talking about that, it made me remember watching a video of this girl had to be no more than 150, maybe 60 pounds soaking wet. And the guy that she was going off of in front of was every bit of 6'1", 6'2", 250 plus. And the way that she was going, she was provoking him. She was provoking him. Women have to stop putting themselves in positions like that as well. Hold on. And, even though he had no right to hit her, because when he hit her, her little body just flew.
You ain't right.
I ain't right. I'm sorry, I ain't right. I'm not right. But I looked at her and I thought to myself, what are you doing? Why is you in this grown man face talking to him as if you can whoop him? Go sit down.
Yeah.
Go sit down. Stop putting yourselves in that position. We are not men. We are not men. And I took the more aggressive approach coming up towards me, and because of how I was. But I won't do that. I'm not doing that. No, because a lot comes behind that. I put myself in a position where being so aggressive that I could have lost my license as a nurse. My bread and butter.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that.
Yeah, definitely don't want to do that. Janice Robinson, I used to be like that. Used to be. We'll talk later.
No, but with it all being said, it still doesn't make it right to actually.
It doesn't.
Put your hands on a.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make it right for anybody to put their hands on.
Your hands on another adult. Yeah.
It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right for the woman. It doesn't make it right for the man. And a lot of the drama that we are experiencing as an adult is due to the trauma that we have experienced as a child. Until you make that connection, you're going to continue to repeat this cycle.
Right. But to that point, right, that you guys we're hinting at the morality of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what we're really talking about here is sickness. Sick people do this, okay? We're not talking about rational human beings. That's a false assumption that we all know, but we don't acknowledge that part.
Yes.
We it's like it's right there in front of us, but we always seem to forget it.
Mental,
Huh?
hold on, mental health,
Yeah.
mental, and we talked about this in the beginning. That trauma that that child has experienced, they walk away, and we research this at least with one, if not two, mental illness due to the trauma that they have suffered as a child that has went on unchecked, and by the time they become an adult, all these behaviors start to come out, and they generally take it out on the ones that is closer to them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know, with, like what John's saying and what you're saying too, God level, the issue is like you don't understand that you're even sick due to the trauma.
Yes.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You don't even know that a chemical imbalance has been created due to early exposure to
Yes.
something that you're supposed to handle as an adult.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So,
Yeah.
and by the time you see it happen, it's volatile. So you all you do is you reiterate what you already seen. You're not even knowing
There
you
it is.
acting out
That
somebody
is.
else's
There it
story.
is.
You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So it's a
There it
it's
is.
it's it's jacked up, but it it happens. And without sharing, but sharing, I will say I myself been in a situation. I never hit a woman, but I know my reaction was too fast the way I reacted. And
Mm.
this is before I was no, I ain't gonna say I would say this is fact. This is before coming into knowledge of self. Um, really knowing who I am, what I'm capable of, what I my limits, my boundaries, uh, what's the true capacity of my mentality, and years of I guess you can say trying to take the higher road in certain situations just to
Hmm.
keep the peace,
Yeah.
kind of acted out when taking the high road ain't always the right road. Sometimes you actually have to show disciplinary within certain situations. Yes, this is very important. It don't mean that you have to put your hands on somebody. Sometimes you could be stern and strict in your decision making. To the point where they
Okay.
understand, hey, that, that's it. Leave it right there. Let it alone. Understand you was wrong or whatever the case may be, but don't, like you said, don't edge it on. Don't try to see. I'm gonna try one more time. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. You building a case. You know that you can't even cash that check on. I'm still saying
Mm.
wrong is wrong. I'm not going to use the word wrong. You shouldn't put your hands on. Shouldn't nobody put their hands on nobody.
Right.
If it's not an intimate threat, you shouldn't put your
Right.
hands on them.
Right.
Period. However you look at it, because the subject is about um,
Men
men.
beating women.
Right.
Yeah, men
Which
beating
again, I want to
women.
reiterate this. We generally know, okay? We generally, like, if you were to conduct a national survey on whether hitting a woman is right or wrong, not justified, because you could
Hmm.
justify anything, even irrationally. If hitting a woman is right or wrong, just in general, right? And of course, you're gonna have those, well, it depends type people.
Hmm.
But if we describe the situation the way that we think it, right? The majority of people are going to prescribe to everybody else, like we're all subject matter experts. Yeah, hitting a woman is wrong. It's just appalling. It's oh my gosh, I abhor that. You abhor that, right? What we all abhor that, right? So prescriptively, you ask anybody, we're going to agree with that. But that's
Right.
not the problem. That's why I say the moral aspect of this, we're making an assumption when it comes to right and wrong and morality when it comes to behaviors. We don't think morally all the time. That's
It,
cognitive, right?
it's cognitive dissonance.
I really wanted to avoid even saying this, mentioning his
Say
name.
it. Say it.
Everyone understands when Will hit Chris, they understood what happened emotionally.
Yeah,
Everyone's talking about this surface level. as a moral issue, as if we're, and this is the big assumption, and it's a false one, we are not always rational in our decision making. So, abusing, putting your hands on another human being is not necessarily something you think through. How am I going to hit him? Am I going to hit him in the face? Am I going to hit him in the stomach? Where do I want to hit? We're not deliberating in our minds most times on how we're going to assault someone. It just happens.
Facts.
You blink your eyes and suddenly something just happens and you're consumed in your emotion. And then you wake up. That's how it normally happens. But this is why I was saying we moralize it. When you moralize it, you don't have to look into it. You don't have to touch what's really happening under there. You don't have to touch the emotion. You don't have to touch the negative thinking. You don't have to touch none of that. You can just say it's right, wrong, that's it. There's no real understanding as to why it happens and what we could do as a society. Because here's what it really comes down to. This nation could change this problem if they really wanted to. Because it's all about mental health, right?
Right. Yes.
All you got to do is make one institutional change. Make healthcare a priority in the United States, and you kill a lot of your social ills. Make mental health
a priority.
Mandatory, right? You're making it mandatory at all stages of life. That's a lot of money you got to put there.
A lot.
But guess what? The worry of, oh, well, if we put money here, that means we can't have money for this other stuff. Well, you won't need it. You won't need money in those other areas. So the boys who grow up not knowing how to control their impulses, because again, we're talking about a man who's he ain't got no impulse control. So yeah, of course we're going to say it's wrong, it's fucked up. You're wrong for not having self-control. He didn't have it. He never had it. He never had it. We didn't. Well, it's not my responsibility to give him that.
Facts.
You're right. It's not my responsibility. It's not your responsibility. But if this is a collective problem, we're saying domestic violence is an epidemic. What did we just do for a particular epidemic, government-wise? All that money spent for that, but this is not an epidemic?
Right.
Black women are dying, and the stats are out there. Black women, most targeted, disproportionately.
Mm-hmm.
And then the most likely to die from it, to actually die. And of course, we're not talking about interracial relationships that Black women are having.
In-house.
We're talking in-house, intraracially. And this is Black men doing it. Men, and so what are we saying about Black men? These Black men are not healthy, and they're in relationships that they're not prepared to be in.
Yep.
So we're just going to say, hey, Black man, you just got to figure it out. Even though there is some institutional involvement here that kind of created this Black man to be this way. Well, what about these men over here? You got the Hispanics are right behind us. And it's and they have another layer. A lot of them are undocumented immigrants. So a lot of the women in those relationships that don't have the visas, they're not documented. Do you think they're going to report?
No.
So you don't even know how bad it is over there. But you have an idea, mainly because if you look at some of the stats, at one point in time, their stats were almost as equal as ours. But then in some areas, in some jurisdictions, they passed a law where if domestic violence was reported or called on, somebody's going to jail. Somebody has to go to jail.
If not both parties.
If not both
Most
parties.
people who are going to call the cops are minorities. Who wants to go to jail and have that on their record? And it's also, it can also be used as a weapon as part of the abuse. I'm going to call the cops and I'm going to fuck up your money. It goes both ways, by the way. It goes both ways. Men will do it to women. Just, hey, all right, if you're going to act like this, I'm showing up at work and I'm acting a fool. get you fired, then you can't work. You can't earn any money, so you can get out this shit.
You
That part.
You know?
that brings me to this. At certain places that I have worked, due to domestic violence, men against women, in their policy now, they have a code word when there's a stalker outside of the building attempting to get in and get to one of the young ladies. I can't say it, but
Yeah.
it's that bad. Yeah, it's that bad. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
I want to small shift. I ain't going far, just a small shift. I
okay.
understand that we're talking about the behavior of men, mental illness, you know what I'm saying, being sick in
Hmm.
the mind. And I don't know blame, okay? Please understand. I don't know blame. But if we were to look at this collectively, everything that we're talking about starts in the home.
Right.
With this starting in the home, one, we know for a fact, chances are single parent home front. Not all, just saying some. Single parent home front. Two, we're not looking at. We talked about this before on a past previous podcast where we're saying that sometimes it starts with just simple neglect as a young boy, seeing that there's a lot of love and attention being given to his sister.
Mhm.
And from just that neglect of not being cared for, loved, nurtured, that's something that's a deeply seated root inside that over time becomes volatile. So when they get with a woman, iron fist all day long because of the hate of the love that was given to his sister versus himself, which is another sickness. But I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that, it's okay. But sometimes we have to make sure that we're evenly distributing our love amongst our children. Can't show
Mm,
favoritism, because it's already been perpetuated that it's a sickness that the mom could be like, your daddy ain't shit. So therefore, having a son or your child grow up and you kind of looking at him like his father, like, motherfucker, you look just like your daddy. And you're perpetuating a cycle, not even understanding that he may become an abusive man at some point. But yet his first real relationship is with his mother before he even leave the nest. You know? And if that relationship doesn't show balance for him to know how to love, respect, and protect a woman, what you expect for him to do when he get out here? You're just adding to the problem. Not understanding that you haven't even healed from your own traumas, that you're perpetuating a cycle once he gets out here.
that's it. That's it. We just keep passing it on. We just keep passing it on. When you said that, it was something that you said when she looks at her son and like, oh, you look just like him. Mothers can do that to their daughters.
Facts.
Mm.
Oh my God, you look just like your daddy. I'm the darker one out of everybody. I'm the dark baby. But yeah, mothers can do it to their daughters. This is, and these are unhealthy people raising unhealthy people.
Mhm.
Developing unhealthy people.
You know what? That's a good word. Thank you for that correction. I appreciate that. Unhealthy people developing unhealthy people. And until we see that the things that we seen growing up was not right, it was not healthy, and to look at ourselves and to look in the mirror and say, you know what, it needs to stop here. and not go any further, we're just going to keep passing it on.
Yep.
Just going to keep passing it on. I promise you, I've learned so much about myself this year. Ooh. Yeah. Oh my God.
You know, even though we doing 2 segments on this, let's please point out that at the end of the day, I hate that cliche. I'm not gonna say that.
Okay.
We need to understand that this is a human sickness. It's a human behavior that's being implemented.
Yeah.
This is not strictly a male thing or female thing. This is solely a human behavior.
Yeah. I like the ideal of mental health being a priority in school.
Sure.
It needs to be a priority. Because when we were doing our research on child sexual abuse, and even if the child, and we just read it, even if the child is not being abused, but to grow up seeing abuse, it's not, it mess mental.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mental. And now all they're going to do is repeat the cycle of either being an abuser
or get abused.
And in both times, you're going to think that it's okay because you've seen it growing up. If a young girl see her mother being beat by the man who tells her mother, he loves her, she's going to think that's a form of love. And it's okay. And if he don't hit you, he don't love you. Okay. Okay. Not knowing that type of abuse is not love at all. And she's going to have her children see her in that position. She's going to mimic that position if she is, as my sister would say, not strong enough to make a decision at that time. That's not going to be me. I took a more aggressive approach. I don't want that to be me, so I'm more aggressive when it comes to men, even when I shouldn't be. Dre said, even as a young man, watching his mom getting beat does something to a boy to become a man.
Dre, call in and expound on that, my brother. If you can, if you're free. I would love to.
Dre, you always call in. Go ahead and call in with your comment. We haven't, you know what? Usually when we don't get any call-ins, people are sitting back and they're watching and they are taking it all in. And sometimes people are just, people may be too afraid to share their story. And it may be hitting close to home, and you probably having an aha moment, growing up watching the abuse growing up in your home just wasn't healthy. It was not healthy. I seen a guy said, a child had everything growing up in the home except for peace. That
is huge. That's huge. And see, let's that's another thing you got to understand. When it comes to being happy and being sad, that's an emotional experience.
This guy level, who am I speaking with? Hello.
Hey, Dre.
This is I wanted to see y'all call, man.
Always.
It's a real struggle because
It is. It is. It's a real touchy subject. We talked about that. Go ahead.
The reason why I sent that message is because of watching, watching the outcome of, my mom being jumped on and, beaten for years. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it does something to, like, cause she only had 2 boys at the time. It does something to the psyche of that young man. Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing to show, this woman that I love her, or the soon-to-be woman, that I love her? This, why is she not leaving? Why is she sitting here taking that? All these questions kind of, cloud your mind, and you sit back and wonder, like, is this right? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Yeah, it's hard, man. I watched it, man, firsthand. Yeah, I see what it does to break down a woman's everything, to kill spirit and all, man. So, yeah.
Dre, let me ask you this. Because of that experience growing up, what type of man did that aid in developing you as a man?
It made me. It kind of it put me in a position to think like I say, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? But at the same time, I never wanted to put anyone through that. So, and this might sound crazy, but every serious relationship that I have been in, the first thing that I tell them, if you ever make me feel like I want to put my hands on you, this is over you. Because now, I think you could be put in that position
Okay.
because of the mentality of the mentality of society. Now, a lot of then from my perspective, a lot of more women are way more aggressive in that manner, and they look for that. I have been pushed to the point, like I've been called like certain things I wouldn't tolerate from a man that I've had to make myself tolerate from a woman, like being called out of my name. That's the only thing I would never tolerate. But for her, it was something that she did all the time. So I just never, if I ever felt like that, and I said, if I told her that, if you ever make me put me in a position where you make me want to, like I want to put my hands on you, then we have nothing else to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
I definitely can relate to what you're saying, brother. Because I know it's been times I've seen a man get talked to real spicy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Real spicy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And we will.
It gets greasy at times, man.
And we will.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not putting it all on the woman. I'm just speaking from my perspective, but it's just, the times have changed to where people in general are just more aggressive, man. And it just seems like there is no fight or flight no more. It's just fight. Even in a relationship, no one wants to back down. So it's like putting 2 male dogs in a cage, and they're both aggressive. No, neither one of them are going to back down, and that's the situation in a lot of households. No one wants And when the nose is touched, then there it is.
Can I say something on that? When you say nobody wants to be back down, nobody wants to back down. Nobody wants to be viewed as being weak.
Yeah.
That's basically what it comes down to. Nobody wants to be viewed as being weak, because in our community, if you are viewed as being weak, that's you're soft, you're a simp, you have all these other things that's being attached to it, a lack of respect, in our community. If you are viewed as being weak, then that comes along with the lack of respect.
Yep.
So yeah. Okay. So you have to be hard all the time.
Well, and there's so many things that this can stem from it's like a tree, man. You could branch this conversation off that turns into a whole
yeah. We have
so many other topics.
Yeah.
They come from this one conversation right here. So many other.
Yeah. And we touched on a little bit of everything, even women putting themselves in the position of being the aggressor. I used to be that woman. Ooh. And I did so because I didn't want to be the weaker one. The weak one.
Yeah.
And and my brother, we was just talking about this backstage. We headbutted a lot. I headbutt a lot I used to headbutt a lot with men of authority. I was always challenging.
See, I had no sisters in the household to be saucy.
And I'm glad you just brought that up, Dre. I was going to say something, and I'm pretty sure John probably would have dropped some enlightenment. Another thing is that at puberty, boys take on testosterone levels that provoke aggression. When that happens, rebellion sets in, and if that boy never receives any type of loving, a hug, a compliment, encouragement, inspiration, any of that, again, that's like shaking up a soda. The top gonna come off sooner or later. And where that's gonna go, I don't know, but from this show, I want to say this: I love everybody, and that's important. If you ain't took the time out to tell somebody you love them, do so, and let's protect these young boys, these babies, these male babies, because they are the future. And if you want your daughters to be embraced by such, let's make sure that young man understand he is loved, and it's okay to show love. Like Ray just said, you ain't always got to be hard. It's okay to show your soft side, and on that soft side, that's being humble, compassionate, showing discernment, and love. That's real important. So you want to make sure you got a well-oiled machine. You got to maintain that until leave that home front. You got to maintain it until leave that home front. And then also, if we stop pointing the finger and start being just more of the sacrificial lamb.
Self-aware.
Yeah.
Self-aware.
Yeah. Let the example begin with self. Quit thinking that you can do all this by yourself. That's why you're going through what you're going through now. You can't do it by yourself. This is one thing I tell my son. Hey, I apologize that Dad hasn't shown an example of a very strong, healthy relationship within the melanated community. That's not to take anything from.
Yeah, that's deep.
I do the same thing, bro. I swear, dude. I do the same thing. I look at my son and I tell him, dude, like, like I say, cause even I know I've been broken in relationships, and I have to tell them, you know, by being a single parent, I have to. I don't never say I'm going to be the man and the woman. I'm just going to be the man I can be for him. You know, so I have to tell, I'm not being the man and the woman, but being the mother and the father. People get caught up in saying that, but I have to sometimes go to him, like you say, and apologize to him, like, bro, like, hey man, like, I'm sorry you can't see your daddy happy in a relationship, even though he might not understand it, but he'll pick it up sooner or later, like in a healthy relationship, man, because I want him to see that so he understands what it feels like and see that vision, like, oh,
what it looks like.
What it looks like.
Yes.
You know, this is what it. I can see through my dad. I know what it feels like. You know, to be in something healthy, man.
Yeah, because it's nothing like seeing a man that is constantly being persecuted publicly come home and have to go through the same thing. So the children, male or female, never really get to see dad be a king, be a leader, be a provider, be a protector. You never really get to see that. And that right there can be detrimental.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I hit on something real quick? Because you spoke on DNA. So, you know, we've done a little research on DNA. Okay. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Dre, because I got to make a point real quick. Go ahead. We'll see. Thank you for calling in.
Tell y'all I love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all, man.
Love you too, bruh.
Hey, that's love.
Hey, newborn, man. I don't know you personally, brother, but I love you. Hey, Queen,
I love you back, Dre. I love you back, Dre. Real talk,
Thank
bro.
You. All right. Okay. DNA. Okay, so what happened to my grandmother's is embedded in me. Is that safe to say?
Yes.
What she went through. Okay. Now, if we go back 200-300 years and how the Black man was treated during those times and how the woman had to sit back and watch all of that.
Okay.
And become very protective over the children that she had, knowing that the man could not protect her because of how he was being. Is that not coming back up? Is that not? I won't even say coming back up, but still there.
Yeah, you talk about horse bucking.
Yes. I didn't want to get too deep. Oh my God. But that just made me think about something when he was talking in what you said earlier, and it being in DNA. Just what society is doing, and this is what I'm recognizing, what the government or whatever the powers that be is doing is keep pushing the Black woman out into the limelight while simultaneously separating her from the Black man, pushing her out into the limelight and snatching him away. Even with the government agencies that we just talked about a month or two back, and how Black men are not even allowed to be in the home when a woman is collecting certain benefits.
Yeah. Benefits. Yeah.
We got a lot to do.
Yeah, it's a serious psychosis, man.
We have
systems on top of systems on top of systems on top.
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of messed up, and John alluded to this several podcasts back. I spoke on it real briefly, like real quick. I dabbed in, dabbed back out. But it's hard to win a race
Mm.
when you've been put in a position at a very large disposition.
Yeah.
Very large disposition. It's very hard. It's very hard.
Mm.
And the main thing to keep that going is to keep what they say, the male horse and the female horse constantly fighting each other. They gonna
That's
never
all we
get no.
do.
And all you gotta do is snatch away the children.
And that's all we
You know
do.
what I'm saying? All you gotta do is snatch away the children, put them in quote unquote homes, huh?
Mm.
Adoption agencies, huh? You already took them from what looks like what they can identify with. Once again, their vision is being obstructed. They don't even see familiarities. That ain't even there no more. And I gotta go over here with these people that's looking at me as a dollar sign. That created a mental illness by itself. And in some cases, a child, male or female, will feel like my people don't even love me.
I need to make another point. Nobody is asking for help.
In the society that we're in, John, I already know how you
Nobody is asking for help because 9 times out of 10, I ain't gonna say 9 times out of 10. Some of us don't know that we need it.
We don't know that we need it, and we lack resources.
Yeah.
We lack resources and we lack information.
Mm-hmm.
Our senses are overloaded with this television situation, which is now it's your new TV right here.
And I said that on a video, because I was talking about the live. Of course, I'm always promoting it. Real people having real conversation in a world where everything around us is being dumbed down.
7 seconds. Hey, wouldn't it fry your brain? Like, I'm just gonna put something on here.
7 seconds.
If you found out the algorithm was you, think about that.
Mm.
Think about that. Just for a second, let that resonate in your mind. What if you was the algorithm? You are the supercomputer. There's nothing out here that moves faster than the human mind. Nothing. Think about you. Within your body, how many things does the brain operate? Just think about that. Now, that's on a large scale because I'm talking about that's
just the body, right? Because it's got a lot
I
of
body. Yeah.
I literally got chills. I literally got chills. Go ahead. Keep going.
Just really think about that. We just talking about like John just said, from a physical standpoint, we ain't gonna get into we ain't gonna get into metaphysics, and we definitely ain't gonna get into spirit or breath. You know what I'm saying? Man, look. It's a science to this, man. It's a science to this.
Yes.
It's a science.
Woo. We're coming up on an hour and a half. Yeah. This has been a good show. I'm gonna have to. Oh my God. I want to thank everyone for their comments. Thank everyone who watched. Thank my brother Dre who called. All the comments. Thank you, John, for putting up the numbers needed for people who are in abusive relationship. This was about men beating women. And as you can see, it all stems from, I guess it's a mental illness. The abuse going on in the home, the trauma going on in the home, and that we are just repeating a cycle. Please know it does not make you more of a man to put your hands on a woman, and to a woman, it does not make you more of a woman to provoke a man or to even be hit by a man. It does not mean that he loves you. That it is okay for you to seek help and to get out of that situation. Wow. So I hope everyone who watched walk away with something. And if you see someone in a situation like this, pull them to the side, because it's not healthy. It's not healthy for them, and especially it's not healthy for the children if the children are watching it. Because again, we always try to tell our children, do as we say, but children grow up and do as you do. I want to thank all the men who grew up watching their mother go through abuse and did not become abusers themselves. That takes a lot of willpower to see that and say, you know what, I'm not going to be that type of man. I applaud all men who are bettering themselves, who are striving for protection. Not protection, perfection, as my brother would say. We're perfect, but we're striving for protection. Yeah, we're perfect. Yeah, and I'm going to say it. We need more men like the ones I got on my screen right now. I said it. John Skywalker and King Newborn, I said it. I thank these men for being a part of this show. I really do. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say this. First and foremost, peace to the king, Master Johnny Skywalker. Peace to my sister, God level. I want to be super, super, super clear to know and understand that myself and John, we are who we are through failure. Not losses, failure. See, from a failure, you can adapt, make the necessary changes, regroup, and come back at it. Don't mean you quit it. That's what I'm saying. It don't mean you quit. But you respectfully understand that you just failed at something. And that's nothing more than the mind. I'm saying the mind is exploring. Ooh, what's this? Oh, it's a stove. I don't know it's a stove. Ooh. You know, now I know what this is, a stove. Now I know what it's for. That's why I'm getting this heat from it. It's hot. Don't touch. It's not safe. To all the men that are watching this, it's okay to fail, man. It's okay to fail. The biggest thing you could do is acknowledge it, regroup, get some help. Like John say, it's a sickness. It's a mental illness. Regroup, get some help, and come back at it from a different angle.
Yes.
For the women that do have men in your life like that, or you grew up seeing that, you know, by your father, the first love of your life, as far as a male-female relationship, it's okay to forgive, but take the time out to understand. All men ain't that way. Don't let that be the reason that you get out here and it stop you from being with your king. It stop you. Furthermore, it stops you from being with anybody in any type of relationship, whether it's family, friends, lover, business, employment. Yes. Don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you. Learn to assess, take in all the data of everything that's going on, extract from what you need, the rest of that discard, and let that be an example to where you don't enter into the same situation and you continue to keep perpetuating the cycle.
There it is.
Accountability. Ain't that right, John? Accountability.
And we just talked about this. And I was backstage and I said, you know, if I'm headed in a certain direction. I'm heading in a certain direction. The person I used to be is not going to help me get there because she had no trust for men. And I have to start somewhere. And I'm starting with you two. So,
Mhm.
yeah, got to start somewhere.
That's
And I'm
peace.
starting with you two. I'm telling you, got to. And you just said it in your conversation. What did you say? It'll stop you from having certain relationships
Yeah,
in every area of your
yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah.
Mm, not just relationships on an intimate level, work, business, family.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm loving this. I'm loving who I'm becoming.
God level. Okay.
I love who I am becoming.
Yeah.
I was not perfect, not I was perfect.
You wasn't perfection.
I wasn't perfection. And I'll be the
Kobe,
first man to
Kobe and Michael
admit,
Jordan. Practice, 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 practice.
yes,
We say it's okay to measure 3 times and cut once. Shit, if you measure, cut, you're gonna come up short sooner or later.
right there it is. Measure, 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 then
Yeah,
cut.
yeah.
John, you have anything you want to add to this?
Sure, there's plenty, but I'm just gonna say, let's remember, folks, um, we are not our behaviors, we are not our actions.
Mm, mm,
Men
mm.
change all the time. Men change.
And so
Facts.
that's
So
women.
men,
Well, hold on. We're not going to say men, women. We're going to say people.
okay,
Humans.
people
Yeah.
change. Yeah, people change.
People, people change.
Yeah, in lieu of this conversation, in lieu of any event, regardless of this conversation, with this included, just keep in mind that no one person is responsible for the summation of all events or even one event. There's a medley of influences on one single event. If you are in a
Thank you.
relationship with anybody, if you
She,
are in a relationship, that is an ongoing event. You have a responsibility to your proportion, just like they do. Even the people who got you there to have that relationship, they
Mm,
contribute to it too. So if I'm going to give a word to anybody, empowerment begins with knowing that you have a responsibility, not the, you have
yes.
a responsibility,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, in terms of domestic violence, you have two sides. It's not just one person doing something and then the other person just is there, but not really existing.
Yeah.
So, there's
Yeah.
energies being contributed to this part, okay? Men, you are not your behaviors. You can
mm,
change. Newborn was just saying, and because I know it's easy for me or anybody to prescribe to you what to do, and you just gonna say, "Fuck you, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do." But keep in mind, it's a problem. Pay attention to your feedback.
there it is.
Women, same thing. Pay attention to your feedback. If you're a woman that's dating a woman, if you are a man that's dating a man, it goes for you too.
Yes.
It
Right.
applies the same way. Look at the feedback. You're not in a relationship with an object. You are in a relationship with someone and something that gives back energy. It's
I was
feeding
gonna say
back
yeah. Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
And you have to question and assess that energy. And you got to ask for yourself, is this what I want? Is this what I'm asking for?
Mm, mm,
Is
mm.
does my influence call for this? And if you know your worth and you respect yourself, you're not going to allow certain things to happen to you. And you're not going to allow yourself to be a certain way with another person.
With another
And
person.
again, we are not blaming anyone
No.
for being as they are, because again, there's a lot of factors, but in the piece of personal accountability, one who is powerful will take in their own power, their own accountability.
Mm-hmm.
They will beat everyone else to their own accountability because they are that powerful.
Facts.
So I just want to remind everyone that even though we're going to demonize one and
No, we're not.
jealousize
And that's something that I was attempting to avoid.
but
We're not doing that. We're not
but
doing that.
people do that, right? People do that
Right.
because we're saying
People
it's
do
good
that.
and evil,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But understand, to you folks out there, this is not a morality issue. I just want to reiterate, this is not a morality issue. If we can argue it from principle, but we're not arguing from morality. And lastly, this is a mental health issue. People who love themselves wouldn't allow this to chronically continue and would be able to see their way, they would be able to see, you would be able to see your way out of it. Healthy people see their way out of situations. So this is a mental health issue, beginning and end of the day. And until we change our priorities as a nation, and it might take a few decades, until we change that mentality and prioritize our funding towards the mental and physical health of its population, these problems will continue to perpetuate and we will continue to moralize them. Morality is for the politicians.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A little piece to add to what John was just saying, communication. There's multiple levels of communication. Just because you're hitting someone, just because you're being hit. A little piece to add to what John was just saying, communication.
I'm sorry. Ooh, that was me. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Communication. It takes two. You know what I'm saying? There's a transmitter and there's a receiver. So even in domestic violence, regardless of the sex, like John was saying, same sex or heterosexual, however you look at it, there's a transmitter and there's a receiver. Accountability plays on both parts of those, transmitter and the receiver. In order for the transmitter, I said that right. In order for the transmitter to work, there has to be something to receive that. Because at the end of the day, it's all energy. It's kinetic. It's all energy. That's just very, 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 very important.
Okay. All right. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Or wait a minute, are we doing women beating men next week? Because we have touched on women predators. Mm-hmm. Women can be predators as well. I mean, we read up on a woman breaking into a man's house and tying him down and raping him.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
Yes.
What are we doing?
First, we're doing, for all those that chimed in tonight, let's please understand, this is God level. Okay, this is God level.
Oh,
we are for
okay.
The community.
Yes, we are.
I
got one. Whooping versus abuse.
I like that.
Whooping versus abuse when raising children in the home. Let's go for it.
Yeah, I like that one.
Then that's what we're going to do. April 17th is whooping versus abuse in the home when raising children. All right. With that being said, again, we want to thank everyone for signing in and watching us tonight. The comments, thanks for Drake for calling, always being so supportive. And I want to go ahead and remind all of my St. Louis residents of HazelJBeauty.com, where you can get all of your lash needs for Miss Joanna Smith. Of course, and don't forget, if you want to plug yourself, our show is available and it's on 5 different platforms. We stream live every Sunday from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And then after the show, the podcast will be available on Spreaker and Apple Podcasts, where we are now a 5-star show. With that being said, thank you. And we will see you back here next week.